Joining us now is the delectable and elegant OjyOkpe with stories trending around the world.
Dr.
Hello, Jenny.
You've added more now, huh? How are you this morning?
I'm good. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Very
Perfect.
well,
Good morning, Rufai.
Good morning, Oji.
Great.
Morning.
Well, all right. Good morning to you, viewers. Here are some of the stories that are trending across the globe. In Italy, Pope Francis on Thursday led the funeral of former Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI, tenderly touching the coffin of his predecessor as he stood, supported on a cane, before tens of thousands of mourners, with some calling for the late pontiff, born Joseph Aloysius Ratzinger in 1927, to be made a saint. It was the first time in more than 200 years that a pope had led the service for his predecessor. Benedict's death at the age of 95 on New Year's Eve brought to an end a decade of the former and present pope, living side by side in the Vatican. While in the United States, President Joe Biden paid his respects to the former Pope Benedict XVI, visiting the Vatican Embassy, formerly known as the Apostolic Nunciature of the Holy See, to sign the condolence register. Biden, who is Catholic, described the late pontiff as a brilliant scholar, a great theologian, and a truly holy man. Then, in Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari condoled with the Vatican, clergies, and Catholics over the death of the late Pope, describing him as a true servant of God. The president, who was represented by the Minister of Women Affairs, Dame Pauline Talent, at a requiem mass in honor of the former pontiff in Abuja on Thursday, said that he hoped Benedict XVI will be remembered as a true servant of God who lived in humility and peace. Under sports, Cameroon's under-17s face a race against time to field a team for the Regional African Cup of Nations qualifiers after more players failed age tests ordered by the president of the country's football governing body. Samuel Eto'o, the former Barcelona and Inter Milan striker who helped Cameroon to 2 successive Africa Cup of Nations in 2020 and 2022, has insisted on using magnetic resonance imaging screening for the squad. Out of the initial 30-member group, 21 failed the age test. Finally, under entertainment, the Duke of Sussex, Prince Harry, in his recent autobiography, Spare, claimed that his brother William, the Prince of Wales, physically attacked him during an argument over his wife, the Duchess of Sussex, Meghan Markle. In the memoir seen by the Guardian newspaper, Harry wrote that his brother was critical of his marriage to Meghan Markle and that he described her as difficult, rude, and abrasive. During the argument, Harry alleged that William grabbed him by the collar, ripped his necklace, and knocked him to the floor. In a new clip previewing his recent interview with ITV, Prince Harry refused to commit to attending his father, King Charles III's coronation in May.
If you're invited to the coronation, will you come?
There's a lot that can happen between now and then. But, you know, the door is always open. The ball is in their court. There's a lot to be discussed, and I really hope that they are willing to sit down and talk about it.
Do you still believe in the monarchy?
Yes.
Do you believe you'll play a part in its future?
I don't know.
Well, let's begin what's trending. The presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, on Thursday dismissed the endorsement of Peter Obi by Nigeria's former president Olusegun Obasanjo. Tinubu, while speaking at a rally in Benin, the Edo state capital, said that Obasanjo is trying to deceive Nigerians by endorsing Peter Obi, insisting that the former president is not qualified to recommend a president for Nigerians, and described his endorsement as a blind man leading the blind.
Can that man recommend a leader for you in Nigeria?
No!
Is that not sending an agent to pick your pocket? A blind leading the blind. I'm sorry. I'm not insulting you medically impaired people. Or it don't go work. they will end up in the ditch. If I talk about Obasanjo and Obi, you think they are human beings together put. One who don't know the way cannot show the way.
Well, Tinubu also criticized Nigeria's former vice president and the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, stating that Atiku cannot boast of any good job that he has done for the country, and described him as a customs officer who cannot define the ethics of civil service provision. Tinubu went on to state that if elected into office, he would provide jobs and turn internet fraudsters known as Yahoo boys into experts at manufacturing and creation of chips. Then, in his usual fashion, delivered yet another inscrutable lingo. Let's take a look.
We create hubs. We will turn this state to energy state.
Amen.
Turn the so-called Yahoo boys to experts in manufacturing and creation of chips that we intercept and all.
I cannot even get the people that are applauding, but let me take some reactions. I'm sorry. Chinaza wrote, Tinubu campaigned in Lagos and in some other northern parts. He didn't insult their young men, but he reached Edo State. He called the young men Yahoo boys, and that he would turn them into manufacturer of chips. This is to tell you that this man has no regard for the South, and Southeast. Well, Olayemi wrote, I will turn the so-called Yahoo boys to experts in manufacturing and creation of chips and ... You heard that, right? This clearly shows that Baba Tinubu is lying with no clue. Let me tell you, 98% of the so-called Yahoo boys can't even write a hello. Yes. Rufai.
No, but that tweet is true. Most of these Yahoo boys are boys that, you know, when you look at them, yeah, some of them have education, but the moral part of them is bankrupt already. A lot of them can't write this, can't write that. Only very few of them can write all of that. So what was even the expression about the Yahoo boy? If we talk now, they'll say we are talking. What's the expression about the Yahoo boy something in the first place? People that are doing fraud. How about saying you are going to improve on the ICT hubs, like CC Hub and the likes we have, like Mr. Efeni was saying? The next thing you are saying, Yahoo boy. What concerns us are Yahoo boys now again that you are putting? So what are you even insinuating? Why did even the topic of Yahoo boy come? You have a lot of Nigerians doing well. You didn't even mention the likes of Flutterwave, innovating, building tech unicorns. We improve upon that. You are improving upon Yahoo boy. And it's getting too much with all this on it. What did he say then? I don't
know.
Is it speaking in tongues or what? Or is it just he went into a spiritual something or
well, do you know some people are saying that it might even be a technique he's using to remain relevant? You never know. People are saying, he's been trending.
That's not a good technique. But let's go back to this context of the matter. He said a lot of things there. Like I said this morning, for the sake of balancing, politicians will call anybody the devil when it's not going in their interests. He's abused the presidential candidate of the PDP, calling him a custom officer. Did he call him the same custom officer when they were together in the APC? Because we forget that all of these politicians were together at some points. Or let me even dial back. Did he call him a custom officer, or could he call him when they were together at the SDP in the 90s? So when you hear politicians talk, I think Nigerians should be wise now to think of what politicians can do for them. And on this campaign, I didn't hear of the ideas that will invigorate a nation. When we talked about, you were saying that it's not issue-based campaign, it's ethnicity, it's all of that, which is a sad commentary on how we become as a nation.
Yes.
Because that means we're not moving forward, and that's why the problems will persist. We vote for people based on sentiment. We don't vote on the issues. Then we don't have a right to complain when the country goes down the drain.
I think Kwankwaso made a very valid point.
So we should go back to the issues. So when you see them abusing themselves, Nigerians, ask yourself, what can they do for you? If they can't do anything, leave them alone. But most importantly, get your PVC. That's the most important thing, because that will soon close. And a lot of people might be disenfranchised.
All right, Dr. Bati.
Okay, number one, I think that politicians, presidential candidates and their spokespersons must realize that all of this race is going to end by March. By March, we will know who has won, who has lost. Okay, so how do they face the people they have abused after the elections? How do they face, live up to the enmity that they have created? Ashwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is calling Baba Obasanjo a blind man. Okay, so after the election has been won and lost, will he be able to stand in front of Obasanjo and say, you are a blind man? The same blind man that he went to visit in Abeokuta. Okay, some people say he wasn't looking for his endorsement, but he paid him his due respect as an elder statesman. Right, so the blind man was good enough for him to go and visit. So now he says President Obasanjo is a disabled man, a man living with physical disability. So I just think that, look, there should be civility in the language. And we have made a point here that the presidential candidates are the ones setting the bad example for their associates and their spokespersons. Second thing is that people must also realize that the law frowns at hate speech, vitriol. Part of the problem we face in this electoral process is that nobody is enforcing the law. If you look at the Electoral Act from section 91 to 92 to 93, penalties are even prescribed. Even for broadcasters also, there are penalties for hate speech, for heating up the polity, but nobody is doing anything about it. So these guys go onto the campaign platforms, all they do is abuse people. No, that's unacceptable. People who want to lead Nigeria should show good example. Now, apart from calling Obasanjo a blind man and P2B, I hear that is the way it's called, a blind man. He also said that Atiku is a customs officer who does not know anything, who has no knowledge of ethics, and who cannot even define the ethics of civil service provision. We don't need all of that. What we need are the ideas about how you want to lead Nigeria. But he spoke about tourism, turning Edo State into a tourism destination, the antiquities and all that. Okay, maybe that's one major issue. And as for the language that you said he spoke, okay, Frank Shaibu has written, a response to that. Frank Shaibu is one of the spokespersons of Atiku, and he quoted what he said in Weri, what he said elsewhere, and all that. Well, if I was Ashwaju Tinubu's strategist, I probably would come and say, well, what Nigerians do not know is that the man speaks other languages that may not be known to Nigerians. Maybe it's a polyglottal, affectation. So when he says blah, 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 or he says guru, 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 or, maybe he's a polyglot. But then his strategists need to identify that language for us. But going forward, he should speak the kind of language that the electorate will understand, not bala, bala, blu, 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 guru, 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 guru. No, I think that's the point there. But
well, all right.
The strategists can turn it around and say, he's a polyglot. He speaks in many tongues as the spirit moves him.
That's exactly what I thought. Well, all right. In another development, the presidential candidate of the new Nigeria's People's Party, Rabiu Kwankwaso, has also reacted to Obasanjo's endorsement of Peter Obi, stating that it is wrong for any person who is considered a statesman to go about endorsing candidates ahead of the February 25th presidential election, adding that those leaders endorsing candidates are disgracing themselves.
It on the news that they are supporting or they are endorsing Mr. A or Mr. B. I think it was a big mistake. These are leaders we respect. There is a time in your life that you become a real statesman, not a politician. And I can tell you also that any candidate, any party that comes out with the face of ethnicity or comes with the issue of religion, that party, that candidate, I can assure you at the national level that that person has failed the election even before it starts. And many people don't even understand that in northern politics, nobody owns the voters. Voters don't have any forum to meet. Love and support goes around like virus. And once people take decision on a particular candidate, I can tell you nothing will change whether somebody endorses from the north or from the south or from outside the country. It doesn't matter. And I want to advise our leaders, please, if you see them, you tell them that they should not stop disgracing themselves. We have so much respect for them. If I become that old and at that level, and I'm sure the same with everybody, we want to come and start playing party politics, and especially politics that has to do with religion.
Ayo, over to you. I mean, I thought he made a good point about politics that has to do with religion and ethnicity, as Dr. Abadi had highlighted earlier.
Absolutely. I mean, thank you very much for starting that way, because I was going to say that there is merit to what he said. However, unfortunately, all the candidates are guilty of playing politics along the lines of ethnic and religious sentiments. He himself just said in northern politics, except I didn't hear him quite well. And I thought, okay, you know, that politics was divided according to region. You know, he could, they keep pulling up that card when it is convenient for them. And then when it is not in their favor, they then say that, no, it should be based on credibility, on who you are and what you are. I'd like to ask, you know, Mr. Alhaji Rabiu Kwankwaso, his engagement with other parts of the nation aside from the North, you know, how deeply he's engaged as much as he's done with the North. But beyond that, I also want to just talk about what he said, where he says that it will have no effect on the electorate who are a lot wiser now. Jumping on what Rufai said, unfortunately, and you know, Dr. Bati said that earlier this morning, unfortunately, the electorate is still none the wiser. We're still, just recently, famous musician Brimo famously tweeted about how we should vote for this ethnicity, this candidate because of his ethnic background. And we are saying that Nigerians are wiser. If you just look at comments underneath tweets or underneath videos or interviews, and the only thing people are pushing for are candidates based on where they come from or religious alignment. If we're going to move forward as a nation, we cannot continue to vote candidates based on, if you ask many Nigerians, what does this person stand for? What are his, have you seen his manifesto? What is the ideology of the party? Half of Nigerians, let me not give a number, but a lot of people cannot articulate it, including everyone who is watching now. Think back, why are you supporting the person that you are supporting? Is it based on what they stand for, or just because I like him because he's my brother, we come from the same place, it's the time of the East, it's the time of the North? If we continue to play politics that way, we will never move forward as a nation.
Well said, Ayo. We shall take our final story. Last month, the Independent National Electoral Commission commenced the distribution of permanent voter cards at its local government offices nationwide. However, many Nigerians have complained that they are yet to receive their voter cards, just weeks to the presidential election next month. As we'll see in this video that is now making the rounds on social media, showing voters in front of an INEC office in Abuja that are yet to receive their cards.
This is the INEC office, ABAC office in Abuja. The INEC office is supposed to close by 3 o'clock. This is 1:27. They've closed door, people are outside, they're not getting their PVCs. A lot of frustration, a lot of anger. People are not getting their PVCs, you can see. They're banging on the gates. They want them to open up. They don't know what's happening. They're not giving them their PVCs. They're all sitting inside, they're taking their materials inside. They've cleared the tables, you can see. They're not giving anybody any PVC. This is after 1. They're supposed to close by 3 o'clock. And they have closed up their gates by after 1. People are here. It's our right. Very annoyed. It's my time. I spent 2,000 naira for this temporary. I spent 2,000 naira for this. So now I came here, the guy gave me. Why? Why would they give us? What's happening? I spent 2,000 to get this. People are angry, complaining. Since 11 hours. We have been on queue for more than 4 hours.
This is completely unacceptable, INEC. We need to stop this madness. As you were saying, Rufai, your fear is that a lot of voters will be disenfranchised. I was talking last week to a political researcher as well who talked about the issue in the Southeast where a lot of the voters are going to be disenfranchised.
Yes.
And obviously we know that the past two elections had been postponed, and my fear is it's going to happen again quickly. Really
I mean, that's the sad reality.
Yeah.
A lot of people will be disenfranchised. If the deadline is just at the end of January, I think 22nd or 25th, I don't know the particular...
22nd. 22nd,
the particular date. I'll have to fact check myself on that. A lot of people will be disenfranchised, and we cannot afford this to happen. And I cannot come out, keep telling us that we are working at it, but no, it doesn't cut it. Let people get their PVCs one way or the other. Look for extra means.
Yesterday.
This is and there are many videos.
Yes.
More than this.
Okay, by way of information, Victor Aluko, the director in charge of voter education, has been saying this week that by tomorrow, INEC is going to take the release of the PVCs from the local government level to the wards level. So INEC still has an opportunity to wake up and fulfill its own promises. If they do not do that, the question will be raised. What other promises has INEC given us that we need to doubt? Okay, because clearly, the same INEC has said, without PVC, you cannot vote. So not to allow people access to their votes, will be counterproductive. I mean, the banks told us they will be working on Saturdays to give us new notes. We can't find the new notes. No. INEC says they will give us PVC. Nobody can get the PVCs. No, you cannot be using the position of government, to tell lies to the people. A government that lies to the people, will have to double-check itself. So INEC needs to wake up. So this is not just video. It's a wake-up call for INEC.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, Ojunika.
Thank you all for your great analysis, as always, Ayo. Well, that's all I have for you on What's Trending today. I'll see you all next week.